Hello and welcome to Your Hometown Solutions. I'm your host, Jean Newell with Waterview Realty. I'm always pleased and happy to have all the experts that we invite to the studios because we discuss everything you need to know about your family finances, your home, your garden, your garage, your kids. I don't care what it is. We talk about it here on Your Hometown Solutions. And just to give a little plug about our website, because a lot of people miss some of the shows or they have questions, you can always go to our website at yourhometownsolutions.com. There we have videos. We have a lot of the guests that have their information there that you can click on and contact them directly. We also have Extra Equity magazine that is for your reading pleasure, and you can request that and we mail it out. It's about 54 pages that discusses all kinds of things that you need to know about real estate, whether you're buying, selling, moving, it doesn't matter. It's got something in there that I know you'll find great information. And so today last week we were talking with Colleen Quick about financial planning. Today we're going to be talking about senior issues. And that is so important because, again, we have a segment we sometimes refer to when we're talking about real estate, and it's called Should I Stay or Should I Go? And that always is a situation that I see happening when I'm in real estate, and people, they invite me out to their home and they're thinking about selling, but they're not too sure. And what they really need is someone to bounce some ideas off of. And here's usually the scenario. It always happens around the Thanksgiving table or around a holiday table when the kids and everybody get together, and all of a sudden the issue comes up about mom and dad, or maybe just mom and what's happening in their current lifestyle and their current home. So the one scenario is the elder parents, the senior parents, they say to the children, kids, the adult kids now, the kids, we're thinking about maybe scaling down, selling our home. We just don't feel like we need to have all this, this big yard to take care of and all the maintenance and so forth. And the kids have a fit. They don't want mom and dad to leave. They want mom and dad to stay in that house because they don't want to see their room. They want to keep their room in some kind of a preserved from the 1970s when they were in school. They want to have that home site, that homestead that they're used to growing up in and being there on holidays. They don't want their parents to leave. So you have that scenario where the whole family's not behind the parents. And then the flip side of that is the kids. Every time they visit mom and dad's house, they start seeing there's more and more things going wrong. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. They don't want to hear that dad, who's 70 years old, is climbing on the roof again to do something. And they're holding their breath trying to keep mom and dad safe in their current house. And they're trying to get them to look at various options that they have available and the different living styles. But mom and dad got their heels, keyed in there to the ground, and they don't want to budge. So you always have some conflict sometimes in the families on should I stay, should I go? And we always say we have kind of like a service. It's a free service. We like to have somebody let them feel like they can bounce some ideas off of us because sometimes it's not important for them to sell their home. Maybe they need to keep their home available to them and rent it so they can afford to go somewhere else and use that rental money into an assisted living. So there's a lot of things. You don't always have to sell your home on a situation like that. But we want people to know that there's alternative living, there's different styles, there's different things. And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is 55 plus. A lot of people know that as a senior living where you buy another home, maybe the yard work is taken care of for you, the roofing, the painting of the outside, and at least you still have a house, but you don't have a lot of upkeep. So that might work good for some people. And again, depending on your situation, once I think the physicality starts to decline a little bit, then I think it's more important to start looking at assisted types of living. And that's what we're going to talk about today We're going to talk about various care for seniors. And with so many senior housing options available, it's easy to feel confused and overwhelmed by the vast number of care types and styles of senior living communities. It's important to learn the terminology and the differences between senior care solutions that are out there, because you have to make the right choice for yourself or your family. So I'm happy to have in the studios with me today Mechelle, not Michelle, but Mechelle, like the Beatles song, Mechelle Taylor, and with us today from the Fountains of Melbourne Senior Living. Welcome, Mechelle.
Thank you.
You got your name, you said, from your father because he liked that Beatles song.
The one and only song he actually liked and listened to.
That's right, because I like the way you spell it with the Mechelle, Taylor. Now, let's talk about a little bit about your background. You're the sales director at the Fountains, but let's talk in general about the various types of senior living, because everyone has mishmashed it all together and they call it assisted living when sometimes it's not really assisted living. They're after something else, but they don't know the terminology. Let's talk about independent living communities. Let's start there.
Okay. Independent living is really for those people who are just that. They're still independent. They're still doing for themselves. They're still living their life. However, they don't want to deal with the stress of upkeep anymore. Maybe they're no longer able to drive, eyesight issues. Maybe they just don't feel like cooking anymore or dealing with the cleaning of the day-to-day. Mm-hmm. So independent living allows them to live a stress-free lifestyle. They are able to live on their own terms. Most independent livings are a month-to-month rental. There are some that are going to be a year-long lease, but it gives them the freedom to live on their terms, make choices for themselves, decorate an apartment the way they want to, make it their home.
Mm-hmm. I know some people will call that maybe a retirement village, or sometimes even 55-plus communities, senior apartments, or continuing care retirement communities. They have all kinds of names for that, but somewhere that it's an apartment, but it's perhaps they've got the libraries, they've got the cafeteria or the restaurant where they can go down and get their meals. Some of them provide meals every day. Some of them you can make your choice and different things like that, right? So
every community is going to have its own level of service and amenities. Mm-hmm. I like to explain to people that senior living, especially here in Brevard County, is very much like the fruit basket on your table.
Right.
You have apples and oranges and pears and bananas. They're all called fruit, but they all have a different flavor, a different smell, mm-hmm. a different texture. So finding the right community for the right feel for you is what's most important.
So the Fountains, tell us where that's located in Greater Palm Bay.
We're actually in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. We're on Stack Boulevard, 4451 Stack Boulevard.
Just north of Palm Bay Road.
It is north of Palm Bay Road, mm-hmm. yes, off of exit 176 of 95.
So you're actually an independent living community, but you also have assisted living there as well.
That's one of the nicest features about the community. We offer full apartment homes to all of our residents. People can move in with the knowledge that as their needs change, as time goes on, if they need more support, they don't just need the meals and the housekeeping, the transportation anymore. Now maybe they need someone to help them with their medications, or they're not as stable getting in and out of the shower. Mm-hmm. Now they can make that transition into a like-sized apartment home in assisted living, have help available to them 24 hours a day, and provide them the safety and the security, and yet still maintain their independence to live their life on their terms.
I know I had a friend that lived there at the Fountains, and we visited her often. And it was a beautiful apartment. It was like a 2-bedroom, mm-hmm. 2-bath, had a balcony that overlooked a little lake, I believe.
Yes.
And she had a car, but sometimes you have regular transportation, like a little minibus there. And sometimes you just use the minibus to go shopping and so forth.
Sometimes it's nicer on a rainy mm-hmm. day, or when you're not feeling as perky, to be able to use the bus. We have it scheduled 7 days a week to take them out to all their travel needs.
And don't you make a certain run to the doctor's offices daily as well?
We go multiple times every day. Mm-hmm. They can run anytime between 8:30 and 2 is the last drop off. We pick them up by 4, mm-hmm. Monday through Friday. So they don't have to live on a specific day. They can just make their appointments as they need to.
Oh, that's great. Because I know they also have planned activities and they take them different places. They'll go to a theater in Bureau or something. I don't know. You have all kinds of events that come up.
We have a wellness program that is 6 dimensions: physical, emotional, spiritual, social, intellectual, and vocational wellness. So all of our activities fall into various categories, from Bible study to theater trips to playing cards to a lecture about the Civil War. It could be any variety of topics or activities going on, fitness classes. Got to keep the mind, body, and spirit all moving and active.
I know when I got there the first time, I was kind of surprised because it didn't look like, from when I was a kid and we used to go to nursing homes and we would be there to perform. We had a little kids show and we would perform for them and so forth. And that was kind of all that I ever knew about seniors was nursing homes. And there weren't the pleasant of places back years ago. And when you go into some of these new assisted livings as well as independent living communities, they're like going into a little resort. Exactly. They have pools. They have, all kinds of facilities. And it's just like you're walking around. They even have little beauty shop and all those different things.
Kind of a mini city within the city.
Exactly.
Providing all of those services and amenities out to the residents to allow those that maybe can't get out as often to still have the niceties of day-to-day life.
So we've talked about assisted living. Now, the next step from assisted living, I know you don't have this at the Fountains, but we're just going to be generally talking about senior living, would be the next step would probably be nursing home, where they would go to get full-time care and so forth. So that would probably be the next step from assisted living.
Assisted living, there's several levels of assisted living. Different licensures allow different levels of care.
Okay.
But getting to a skilled nursing facility is generally someone who needs 24-hour medical monitoring. Someone who is maybe not able to get out of bed at all, maybe needs feeding tubes or constant oversight by a doctor so that their health is able to be maintained. They're no longer safe to live in that resort setting.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people have to recover from an operation at a nursing home on a temporary basis as well. So a nursing home isn't always just...
They can also be a rehab center.
Rehab, mm-hmm.
So after a surgery to go and regain strength or to relearn how to walk or dress yourself or do those things that maybe you didn't have the strength after the surgery to do.
Exactly.
To relearn.
Then I was kind of perusing some of the information online. The next step maybe would be an Alzheimer's care unit, where that would be a little bit more intense than a nursing home because you have to make sure that you have sight of that person all the time.
A memory care is going to be a locked unit, meaning that someone cannot wander away because not all people who need memory care are physically impaired.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know what's safe and what's not. So they need to be in a less open area. Maybe they get anxious easily, so it needs to be a little quieter, a little more controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone who develops Alzheimer's or dementia is going to need a locked unit. Some people can continue to live out their lives through assisted living with the supportive care and reminders and cueing. But when needed, a locked unit of memory care is a good place to be.
In that particular case, and I'm bringing up something now that kind of off the top of my head, but sometimes you have a couple who need to move in together. It's a married couple, let's say, and they start off as assisted living, or let's just say they first start off as independent living, and one becomes more of a candidate for the assisted side. Can you move the whole couple over to assisted, or is it just the one partner?
At the Fountains, we are able to transition them together. They move from an apartment into another apartment in the assisted living area, and that's just for us to be able to go door to door. Mm-hmm. Everyone has the same amenities and services, and it's not separated in any way. But they live together. One can be independent, and one receive the services that they need to maintain their health and well-being.
Mm-hmm. Do they now? And I'm just curious on this. On the assisted living side, is there some kind of a monitor? So every morning you check them. Do they answer the phone, or do they buzz in with a?
Actually, in independent living, we have a daily check-in button.
Okay.
And we do check on those once a day that have not contacted us or we haven't seen in the course of the morning. In assisted living, because the nurse